about each other. I mean, you even sense this just having traveled to Ukraine. They don't know so many things about
Mm.
America.
Yeah.
You like when you travel across the world, I think you experience this too. There are certain cultures that are like they have their own thing going on. They don't, and so
Yeah.
you can see that happening more and more and more and more in the future. We have
Right.
little communities.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. That seems to be how it's going right now. And I don't see that trend like really reversing. I think people are diverse and they're able to choose their own like path in existence. And I sort of like celebrate that. And so
Will you spend so much time in the metaverse, in the virtual reality, or which community are you? Are you the physicalist, the physical reality enjoyer, or do you see drawing a lot of pleasure and fulfillment in the digital world?
yeah, I think well, currently the virtual reality is not that compelling.
Yes.
I do think it can improve a lot, but I don't really know to what extent. Maybe, there's actually like even more exotic things you can think about with like neural links or stuff like
Yeah.
that. So Um, currently, I kind of see myself as mostly a team human person. I love nature.
Yeah.
I love harmony. I love people. I love humanity. I love emotions of humanity. Um, and I just want to be like in this like solar punk little utopia. That's my happy place.
Yes.
My happy place is like people I love, thinking about cool problems, surrounded by lush, beautiful, dynamic nature,
Yeah.
and secretly high tech in places that count.
Places that go. So use technology to empower that love for other humans and nature
Yeah, I think
versus
technology
getting
used
away.
like very sparingly. I don't love when it sort of gets in the way of humanity in many ways. I like just people being humans in a way we sort of like slightly evolved and prefer, I think, just by default.
People kept asking me because they know you love reading. Are there particular books that you enjoyed that had an impact on you for silly or for profound reasons that you would recommend? You mentioned the vital question.
Many, of course. I think in biology, as an example, the vital question is a good one. Anything by Nick Lane, really,
Mhm.
life ascending, I would say, is like a bit more potentially representative as like a summary of a lot of the things he's been talking about. I was very impacted by The Selfish Gene. I thought that was a really good book that helped me understand altruism as an example and where it comes from, and just realizing that the selection is on the level of genes was a huge insight for me at the time, and it sort of like cleared up a lot of things for me.
What do you think about the idea that ideas are the organisms, the
Yeah,
memes?
love it, 100%.
Do Are you able to walk around with that notion for a while that there is an evolutionary kind of process with ideas as well?
There absolutely is. There's memes just like genes, and they compete and they live in our brains. It's beautiful.
Are we silly humans thinking that we're the organisms? Is it possible that the primary organisms are the ideas?
Yeah, I would say like the ideas kind of live in the software of like our
Yeah.
civilization in the minds and so on.
We think as humans that the hardware is the fundamental thing.
Mhm.
I, human, is a hardware entity,
Yeah.
but it could be the software, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say like there needs to be some grounding at some point to like a physical reality.
Yeah, but if we clone an Andre, the software is the thing, like, is this thing that makes that thing special, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But then cloning might be exceptionally difficult. Like there might be a deep integration between the software and the hardware in
Mhm.
ways we don't quite yet understand.
Well, from the evolution point of view, like what makes me special is more like the gang of genes that are riding in my chromosomes, I suppose, right? Like they're the replicating unit, I suppose, and
No, but that's just the
proliferating.
compute. The thing that makes you special, sure. Well, the reality is what makes you special is your ability to survive based on the software that runs on the hardware that was built by the genes. So the
Yeah.
software is the thing that makes you survive, not the hardware. Or I
It's a
guess
little bit of both.
it's a little bit
It's
of,
just like a second layer. It's a new second layer that hasn't been there before the brain. They both coexist.
but there's also layers of the software. I mean, it's not there. It's a abstraction on top of abstractions.
But
Okay,
yeah, so
selfish
still
gene.
Selfish Gene, Nick Lane. I would say sometimes books are like not sufficient. I like to reach for textbooks sometimes. Um, I kind of feel like books are for too much of a general consumption sometime,
Mhm.
and they just kind of like they're too high up in the level of abstraction, and it's not good enough.
Yeah.
So I like textbooks. I like The Cell. I think The Cell was pretty cool. That's why also I like the writing of Nick Lane, is because he's pretty willing to step one level down, and he doesn't. Yeah, he's willing to go there. But he's also willing to sort of be throughout the stack. So he'll go down to a lot of detail, but then he will come back up. And I think he has basically I really appreciate that.
That's why I loved college, early college, even high school. Just textbooks on the basics
Yeah.
of computer science, of
Yeah.
mathematics, of biology, of chemistry.
Yes.
They condense down like it's sufficiently general that you can understand both the philosophy and the details, but also like you get homework problems and you get to play with it as much as you would if you were in
Yeah.
programming stuff.
Yeah. And then I'm also suspicious of textbooks, honestly, because as an example in deep learning, there's
Yes.
no like amazing textbooks, and the field
Yeah.
is changing very quickly. I imagine the same is true in, say, synthetic biology and so on. These books like The Cell are kind of outdated. They're still high level. Like, what is the actual real source of truth? It's people in wet labs working with cells,
Yeah.
sequencing genomes and actually working with it. And I don't have that much exposure to that or what that looks like. So I still don't fully. I'm reading through The Cell, and it's kind of interesting, and I'm learning, but it's still not sufficient, I would say, in terms of understanding.
Well, it's a clean summarization of the mainstream narrative.
Yeah.
But you have to learn that before you break out.
Yeah.
Towards the cutting edge.
Yeah. But what is the actual process of working with these cells and growing them and incubating them? And, it's kind of like a massive cooking recipes of making sure your cells live and proliferate, and then you're sequencing them, running experiments, and just how that works, I think, is kind of like the source of truth of, at the end of the day, what's really useful in terms of creating therapies and so on.
Yeah, I wonder what in the future AI textbooks will be, because there's artificial intelligence, the modern approach. I actually haven't read if it's come out the recent version, there's been a recent edition. I also saw there's a science of deep learning book. I'm waiting for textbooks that are worth recommending, worth reading. It's tricky because it's like papers and code.
Honestly, I find papers are quite good. I especially like the appendix of any paper as well. It's like the most detail you can have.
It doesn't have to be cohesive, connected to anything else. You're just describing a very specific way you solved a particular thing. Yeah.
Many times papers can be actually quite readable. Not always, but sometimes the introduction and the abstract is readable, even for someone outside of the field. This is not always true. And sometimes I think, unfortunately, scientists use complex terms even when it's not necessary. I think that's harmful. I think there's no reason for that.
And papers sometimes are longer than they need to be in the parts that don't matter.
Yeah.
Appendix should be long, but then the paper itself, look at Einstein, make it simple.
Yeah, but certainly I've come across papers, I would say, in, say, like synthetic biology or something that I thought were quite readable for the abstract and the introduction. And then you're reading the rest of it and you don't fully understand, but you kind of are getting a gist, and I think it's cool.
What advice you give advice to folks interested in machine learning and research, but in general, life advice to a young person, high school, early college, about how to have a career they can be proud of or a life they can be proud of?
Yeah, I think I'm very hesitant to give general advice. I think it's really hard. I've mentioned, like, some of the stuff I've mentioned is fairly general, I think. Like, focus on just the amount of work you're spending on like a thing. Compare yourself only to yourself, not to others.
That's good.
I think those are fairly general.
How do you pick the thing?
You just have like a deep interest in something, or like try to like find the argmax over like the things that you're interested in.
Argmax at that moment and stick with it. How do you not get distracted and switch to another thing?
You can, if you like.
Well, if you do an argmax repeatedly every week or every
it doesn't
month,
converge.
it doesn't. It's a problem.
Yeah, you can like low pass filter yourself in terms of like what has consistently been true for you. But yeah, I definitely see how it can be hard. But I would say like you're going to work the hardest on the thing that you care about the most. So low pass filter yourself and really introspect in your past. What are the things that gave you energy, and what are the things that took energy away from you? Concrete examples. And usually from those concrete examples, sometimes patterns can emerge. I like it when things look like this when I'm in these positions.
So that's not necessarily the field, but the kind of stuff you're doing in a particular field. So for you, it seems like you were energized by implementing stuff, building actual things.
Yeah, being low level, learning, and then also communicating so that others can go through the same realizations and shortening that gap. Because I usually have to do way too much work to understand a thing. And then I'm like, okay, this is actually like, okay, I think I get it. And like, why was it so much work? It should have been much less work. And that gives me a lot of frustration. And that's why I sometimes go teach.
So aside from the teaching you're doing now, putting out videos, aside from a potential Godfather Part Two with the AGI at Tesla and beyond, what does the future for Andre Karpathy hold? Have you figured that out yet, or no? I mean, as you see through the fog of war, that is all of our future. Do you start seeing silhouettes of what that possible future could look like?
The consistent thing I've been always interested in, for me at least, is AI, and that's probably what I'm spending the rest of my life on, because I just care about it a lot. And I actually care about like many other problems as well, like say aging, which I basically view as disease, and I care about that as well. But I don't think it's a good idea to go after it specifically.
Mhm.
I don't actually think that humans will be able to come up with the answer. I think the correct thing to do is to ignore those problems and you solve AI and then use that to solve everything else. And I think there's a chance that this will work. I think it's a very high chance. And that's kind of like the way I'm betting, at least.
So when you think about AI, are you interested in all kinds of applications, all
Yes.
kinds of domains, and any domain you focus on will allow you to get insights
Yeah.
to the big problem of AGI?
Yeah, for me, it's the ultimate meta problem. I don't want to work on any one specific problem. There's too many problems. So how can you work on all problems simultaneously? You solve the meta problem, which to me is just intelligence. And how do you automate it?
Is there cool small projects like Archive Sanity and so on that you're thinking about that the world, the ML world can anticipate?
There's always like some fun side projects.
Yeah.
Archive Sanity is one. Basically, like there's way too many archive papers. How can I organize it and recommend papers and so on? I transcribed all of your
Yeah.
podcasts.
What did you learn from that experience, from transcribing the process of, like, you like consuming audiobooks and podcasts and so on,
Yeah.
and here's a process that achieves closer to human level performance on annotation?
Yeah, well, I definitely was like surprised that transcription with OpenAI's Whisper was working so well
Mhm.
compared to what I'm familiar with from Siri and like a few other systems, I guess. It worked so well. And that's what gave me some energy to like try it out. And I thought it could be fun to run on podcasts. It's kind of not obvious to me why Whisper is so much better compared to anything else, because I feel like there should be a lot of incentive for a lot of companies to produce transcription systems, and that they've done so over a long time. Whisper is not a super exotic model. It's a transformer. It takes Mel spectrograms and just outputs tokens of text. It's not crazy. The model and everything has been around for a long time. I'm not actually 100% sure why this
Yeah,
came out.
it's not obvious to me either. It makes me feel like I'm missing something
I'm missing
fundamental.
something.
Yeah, because there's a huge, even at Google and so on, YouTube transcription.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unclear, but some of it is also integrating into a bigger system.
Yeah.
So the user interface, how it's deployed, and all that kind of stuff. Maybe running it as an independent thing is much easier, like an order of magnitude easier than deploying to a large integrated system like YouTube transcription or anything like meetings. Like Zoom has transcription. That's kind of crappy. But creating an interface where it detects the different individual speakers, it's able to display it in compelling ways, run it in real time, all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's difficult. But that's the only explanation I have, because like I'm currently paying quite a bit for human transcription and human caption
Right.
annotation, and like it seems like there's a huge incentive to automate that.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
And I don't know if you looked at some of the Whisper transcripts, but they're quite good.
They're good, and especially in tricky cases.
Yeah.
I've seen Whisper's performance on like super tricky cases, and it does incredibly well. So I don't know. A podcast is pretty simple. It's like high quality audio, and you're speaking usually pretty clearly.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't know what OpenAI's plans are.
Yeah.
Either.
But yeah, there's always like fun projects basically. And Stable Diffusion also is opening up a huge amount of experimentation, I would say, in the visual realm, and generating images and videos and movies ultimately.
Yeah, videos now.
And so that's going to be pretty crazy. That's going to almost certainly work, and is going to be really interesting when the cost of content creation is going to fall to zero. You used to need a painter for a few months to paint a thing, and now it's going to be speak to your phone to get your video.
So Hollywood will start using that to generate scenes, which completely opens up. Yeah, so you can make a like.
And there's infinity of it.
Yeah. Oh man, all the synthetic content. I mean, it's humbling because we treat ourselves as special for being able to generate art and ideas and all that kind of stuff. If that can be done in an automated way by AI.
Yeah. I think it's fascinating to me how these the predictions of AI and what it's going to look like and what it's going to be capable of are completely inverted and wrong. And sci-fi of 50s and 60s was just like totally not right. They imagined AI as like super calculating theorem provers,
Mhm.
and we're getting things that can talk to you about emotions.
Yeah.
They can do art. It's just like weird.
Are you excited about that future? Just AIs like hybrid systems, heterogeneous systems of humans and AIs talking about emotions. Netflix and chill with an AI system
Yeah.
where the Netflix thing you watch is also generated by AI.
I think it's going to be interesting for sure. And I think I'm cautiously optimistic, but it's not obvious.
Well, the sad thing is your brain and mine developed in a time where before Twitter, before the internet. So I wonder people that are born inside of it might have a different experience. Like I and maybe you will still resist it,
Mhm.
and the people born now will not.
Well, I do feel like humans are extremely malleable,
Yeah.
and you're probably right.
What is the meaning of life, Andre? We talked about sort of the universe having a conversation with us humans or with the systems we create to try to answer for the universe to for the creator of the universe to notice us. We're trying to create systems that are loud enough to answer back.
I don't know if that's the meaning of life. That's like meaning of life for some people. The first level answer I would say is anyone can choose their own meaning of life because we are a conscious entity and it's beautiful.
Mhm.
Number one, but I do think that like a deeper meaning of life, if someone is interested, is or along the lines of like, what the hell is all this,
Mhm.
and like why? And if you look at into fundamental physics and the quantum field theory and the standard model, they're like way like very complicated. And there's this like 19 free parameters of our universe, and like what's going on with all this stuff, and why is it here, and can I hack it? Can I work with it? Is there a message for me? Am I supposed to create a message? And so I think there's some fundamental answers there. But I think there's actually even like, you can't actually like really make dent in those without more time. And so to me, also, there's a big question around just getting more time, honestly. Yeah, that's kind of like what I think about quite a bit as well.
So, kind of the ultimate, or at least first way to sneak up to the why question is to try to escape uh, the system, the
Yeah.
universe. And then for that, you sort of backtrack and say, okay, for that, that's going to be take a very long time. So the why question boils down from an engineering perspective to how do we extend?
Yeah, I think that's like question number one, practically speaking, because you can't, you're not going to calculate the answer to the deeper questions in the time you have.
And that could be extending your own lifetime or extending just the lifetime of human civilization.
Of whoever wants to. Not many people might not want that.
Yeah.
But I think people who do want that, I think it's probably possible. And I don't know that people fully realize this. I kind of feel like people think of death as an inevitability,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, this is a physical system. Some things go wrong. It makes sense why things like this happen, evolutionarily speaking. And there's most certainly interventions that mitigate it.
That'd be interesting if death is eventually looked at as a fascinating thing that used to happen to humans.
I don't think it's unlikely. I think it's likely.
And it's up to our imagination to try to predict what the world without death looks like.
Yeah,
It's hard to. I think the values will completely change.
could be. I don't really buy all these ideas that, oh, without death there's no meaning, there's nothing as I don't intuitively buy all those arguments. I think there's plenty of meaning, plenty of things to learn. They're interesting, exciting. I want to know, I want to calculate, I want to improve the condition of all the humans and organisms that are alive.
Yeah, the way we find meaning might change. There is a lot of humans, probably including myself, that finds meaning in the finiteness of things.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean that's the only source of meaning.
Yeah, I do think many people will go with that, which I think is great. I love the idea that people can just choose their own adventure.
Mhm.
Like you are born as a conscious, free entity by default. I'd like to think,
Yeah.
and you have your unalienable rights for life
In the pursuit of happiness.
pursuit
I don't know if you
and
have that
pursuit
in
of
the
happiness.
nature, the landscape of happiness.
And you can choose your own adventure mostly, and that's not it's not fully true, but
I still am pretty sure I'm an NPC, but an NPC can't know it's an NPC.
Hmm.
There could be different degrees and levels of consciousness. I don't think there's a more beautiful way to end it. Andre, you're an incredible person. I'm really honored you would talk with me. Everything you've done for the machine learning world, for the AI world, to just to inspire people, to educate millions of people. It's been great, and I can't wait to see what you do next. It's been an honor, man. Thank you so much for talking today.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks for listening to this conversation with Andre Karpathy. To support this podcast, please check out our sponsors in the description. And now, let me leave you with some words from Samuel Carlin. The purpose of models is not to fit the data, but to sharpen the questions. Thanks for listening, and hope to see you next time.